Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome to today's webinar. This will be a part of the Cireson Academy series. Also, of course, it's going to be a little bit of marketing here as we're going to be talking about our services team. My name is Seth Cousins. I'm the services lead and also the director of services here at Cireson. So my email is there on the screen. Feel free to contact me with any questions, comments about today's webinar. You can also ask questions in the channel here, and we'll have a session period of time basically that we can answer those questions for you. So I'm going to go ahead and move forward here. Today we're going to be talking about implementation and customizations, and that's really primarily what the services team does, which is why we'll be focusing on that. This will not be a technical deep dive. This will be more of a business process focused discussion, and then we'll have some examples, and then we'll talk through or answer any questions around what we have to offer and what we presented today. So Cireson's key focus is really to standardize, automate, and transform. We focus on those areas around service management, asset management, just IT processes in general. Our primary software focus is on our own line of products and then also Microsoft System Center line of products. So who we are. So basically, we're your friendly neighborhood services team. I mean, what we do is we talk to you as customers, determine what your needs are and what needs to be done, look at your installation, your processes, anything around your business that has to do with Cireson products, IT, and asset management. And then we build a scope and we will implement it for you. So primarily we call ourselves the Cireson Consulting Services. I mean, that's very unique, I know, but it's straightforward. We call ourselves CCS for short, and that's what we use internally, simple nomenclature there. And we're focused on services around System Center, and then of course Cireson products as well. We consider ourselves experts in service manager and especially our own products. And we have capabilities in both HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and C#. And we are also experts in PowerShell and Orchestrator. So the integration and automation of your systems, bringing everything together to provide you with value is really what we do best. And we are also international. We have consultants located in the US, the UK, New Zealand, and Australia. And we're based out of San Diego. I myself am based out of Houston. What we have to offer. So primarily, as a services organization, we do most of our statements of work are customized to the customer. So we have solutions architects that will speak with you directly. We'll talk through the process, determine what your needs are, what you're trying to accomplish, and then scope out a series of work. That scope of work is what determines what we as a services team do. But we also want to streamline that process a bit, so we have some more generic offerings. Basically, it's a starting point or a starting template that we can talk through with you and determine if it fits your needs. It helps to kind of start the conversation, also keeps the price down, gives you an idea of what the price would be based upon the scope of work that you're trying to accomplish, say a standard implementation, anything around that. So primarily we offer a health check. The health check allows us to come in, take a look at both Service Manager, System Center, and Cireson products that may already be in place, and really determine what changes can be made in terms of best practice to help improve that and bring the performance around, maybe even add some additional value, determine what we can do to help you with any issues that you're having or even find issues before you're even aware of them. It's usually around a 3-day thing. We come in, we look through the environment, we check all your configuration, we discuss things with you in terms of performance and what you see as issues. And then once that's been determined, we will produce a document that gives our recommendations for remediation if we do find any issues or any areas that we consider to be areas of caution that need to be addressed or should at least be looked at and new decisions made on. And then in some cases, we'll have some time left and we'll actually help you with that remediation. A quick start deployment is going to be in a service manager implementation, including Cireson products. So we actually have two types of quick starts. We have a full-on quick start, which includes Service Manager and Cireson products, and then we have a quick start for each individual product. So we can do a quick start for Service Manager alone, or we can do a quick start for Cireson products alone if you already have a Service Manager installation in your environment. Basically, a quick start is a come in, get it set up, configure it baseline, and then that's where we leave. And so you're good to go, everything's set up to best practices, and it gets you started off on the right foot. We also have a cross-training deployment, which again focuses on both Cireson products and Service Manager, and we can split those apart as well, depending on what your needs are. And the cross-training deployment has more to do with helping you get it set up, installed, and learning at the same time. So it's more of a hand-holding process where we'll get you in, get you set up, and walk you through that entire process, give you some guidance on best practice. That, of course, takes a little bit longer because it's more of a hands-on approach with you doing the work through our direct guidance, and that way your Service Manager or Cireson administrator can take that knowledge and move forward quickly with it. Turnkey deployment is going to be a start-to-finish complete implementation. And what we mean by that is we come in and we do the full installation, configuration. We'll even include any customizations that fit your business process needs. And we actually go through the entire process with you. We'll deploy it into production with you. We'll continue to do UAT with you. All those things happen through a turnkey deployment. Basically, turnkey, it's kind of like you got a new house and it's ready to go. You just turn the key and walk in the door and you're ready to live there, and that's the idea. So we want to build the system for you so that once we are ready to leave, your system is 100% set up to your satisfaction, to what you are looking to accomplish, and you can just start using the system immediately in a production capacity. So that's a turnkey. Obviously, that's going to be a longer engagement. It's going to have more business process meetings, more focus on the business process, and then there'll be a lot more integration into your systems, customization to your specific needs, and overall just a deeper level of configuration. Last is custom deployment, and honestly, this is what most of our engagements end up being once we've had the discussion with you and to determine what you need, because everybody needs something a little bit different. Everybody has a different idea of what they want to accomplish. People have different processes. They have different numbers of people. They have different support requirements. So once we start with one of these and kind of get an idea of which of the other types of deployments you'd be looking at, we'll then start to go through and pick and choose pieces that do or do not apply to you in your specific environment. And we do this to make sure that you're not spending money on something that you're not going to use, and that you're getting the most value out of your services engagement. So a custom deployment is going to look something like a portal-only sort of installation after a Service Manager implementation. So we'll do a full-on Service Manager implementation, but rather than install all the Cireson products, we might focus more on the portal, because that is going to be your primary source of interaction with Service Manager. So then rather than spend a lot of time on Service Manager directly in configuring the look and feel and those sorts of things, we're going to spend that time on the portal. We're going to work through the portal. We'll customize the look of it. We'll build some custom tasks. Overall, we'll give you a tighter configuration and more to your specific needs. For secondary offerings, this is where we get into the real depths of the services team, and we start to touch on some of our more skilled people. Basically, you're looking at really deep customization. So you're looking at building out very specific custom tasks. You're looking at automation. You're looking at building custom landing pages that display your Service Manager data in the portal the way you want it, not the way we have already defined it out of the box. Those sorts of things. Specifically, we do a lot of work in dashboards. So we build dashboards in the portal that show the data that you're interested in, based on discussions, based on general ITSM best practice. We look at ITIL. We have some ITIL reports out of the box, but in a lot of cases, customers, customers have very specific data that they want to be able to see on a daily basis and in real time. And so we'll build some custom dashboards for that and give them that added flexibility. And then, of course, we also do Service Manager specific customization, both in the console in terms of Service Manager workflows, and sometimes it's a combination of the two. Maybe we have to customize Service Manager a bit in order to bring the customizations forward in the portal. So we'll show an example of that later on today. The difference between configuration and customization. So I wanted to bring this up because it gets thrown around a lot. Configuration, customization, even in sales meetings and marketing meetings, sometimes they'll say, hey, well, this will be a customization or this will be a configuration, and there can easily be some confusion upon what is a configuration versus a customization. So I want to talk about that. So basically, going to a configuration is based on what's available out of the box. So it's not a matter of this is set up this way out of the box. It's more of a matter of this is how we can use out of the box functionality to meet your needs. So configuration would be something along the lines of we have very specific email templates that we want to use. Well, email templates come out of the box. So all we have to do is configure those email templates to work the way you want them to work. So workflows, for instance. We can set up workflows within Service Manager that will provide your notifications, and that is a configuration. Now, if you want to go a step further and you have very specific needs on when you want those workflows to kick off based on certain criteria that is not out of the box, you can't meet those needs with the out-of-the-box workflows, then we'd move into customization, because now we're doing something that requires some custom development or some custom coding. Even if it's somewhat limited, it still is not immediately capable out of the box. We're providing our own logic outside of the logic that's available in the product. That would be a customization. So some key points with configuration is that it's really based on vendor supplied options. Service Manager is really good about this. It really rides that line between configuration and customization a lot, simply because they give you so much flexibility in how you can import your management packs, how you can manipulate your built-in workflows. There's a lot of riding a line there, but since it's all within the console, it's all within Service Manager, it's still considered configuration. It's still supported. It's supported through upgrades, and that's a key difference too, is if your general support is provided by the company, say Cireson or Microsoft, then it's probably a configuration. When you move into customization, that customization tends to be supported internally by you, the customer, or through a contract with the services team that implemented it in order to maintain and support that customization through upgrades, because there's no guarantee that it's going to survive an upgrade, though everything we do on our side is based off of both Service Manager and Cireson best practices. So a lot of our customizations, even though they're still customizations, they fit within a certain framework in order to maintain that compatibility as we move through upgrades. And so we can talk about that in a little bit as well. The idea with configuration is that it's limited. It's limited to only what the vendor provides out of the box. So you have vendor supplied options or what you can use, and those are of course limited to what you see and are available to you. The other thing with configuration is that that is actually available to every customer that bought the product. So from a competitive standpoint, if you and a competitor are both running on Service Manager and say Cireson specifically, you both have the same configuration options available to you. So there's no real advantage there. Obviously, you could configure it deeper or configure it in a way that works better for you, but that's going to be limited in what your capabilities are, and in theory, they have the same capability. The support process is simplified because you can just call on Cireson or Microsoft support and discuss whatever issues you're having with them through upgrades. Even, all that should be supported. So. And then there's also a lower adoption cost, because when you have a configuration, you just simply put the software in your environment and make some changes and set some settings. It's almost all a graphical interface, so it tends to be a quicker process. It's not as deep of an integration, so it doesn't take as long, so it tends to cost a significant amount less. Now, customization. Customization has a few pros and cons, and we'll discuss those, but on a high level, the benefit of customization, it makes the software specific to you and your organization. So it really gives you the ability to have a competitive advantage in terms of your software, how you manage your services, how you present your services to your customers in a way that you feel that they'll better understand, because you know your customer base, you know your user base much better than we do just coming in for such a short time. So we really rely on you to tell us what you expect and what you need. And once we have that in place, we can provide that competitive advantage by meeting those needs. Customization also falls into the realm of automation, especially advanced automation. There's some very basic automation that could be considered configuration, but when you start to tie into large numbers of other systems, you're really moving more into the range of advanced automation. When you start to create new users, when you start to manage your security, when you start to look at providing hardware in a more automated approach, or providing services or even remediating issues in an automated way that doesn't require analyst interaction, you're really looking at some more advanced automation. There's some logic that has to be applied there that's not going to be available out of the box. So let's talk a little bit more about customization. Obviously, from a services perspective, we do both. We do configuration and customization, but customization is really the area where we provide the most value, because we have the skills to do that. We have the skills to make the software yours. So the pros of customization is it really lets you unlock the optimal value of the software. So you're paying for the software, you have it available to you, but generally there's going to be some very specific things that you feel are going to add a lot more value to what you have. And for us, especially in terms of our portal, that comes down to custom tasks, or things that you can do within a work item where you simply click on it and it will provide you with some advanced functionality in terms of your business process usually. So something along the lines of it will remediate the issue, mark it remediated, send the user an email, and update a certain field all at the same time with a simple click, whereas it would have taken you 2 minutes maybe to do that manually by clicking through the different fields and typing in the different information. So those sorts of things can save your analysts minutes, really, and minutes add up very, very quickly when you're doing hundreds of tickets a day and thousands a week. So by going through that process and doing a little bit of customization work, we can really bring out that value for you and overall really save you money as you move down the line. The other thing is the ability to tackle your business's unique problems. So your business is not, no two businesses are exactly the same. So when you look at that, you have different people that are running it, you have different managers, different analysts, you know what they are and what their capabilities are, what their strengths and weaknesses are. You face different challenges than your competitor or even just the person next to you. And so the idea here is that we can customize the system to help you tackle those unique problems that you find yourself dealing with. And we can work around that problem, we can work through the problem, or even just eliminate the problem entirely through customization. The other part of customization is improved process control. And this kind of really plays back into the last two. Basically, it gives you the ability to look at your processes and define those processes better, more tightly integrate those processes into your system, and make sure that your analysts are really following those processes and track it each step of the way through this customization. Some of the cons of customization. So maintenance and support becomes more of an internal or farmed out sort of process. So with configuration, it's built into the product. You can call on the product support team. With customization, it's going to be unique to you. It's going to be limited as to what support the support teams can provide you. And so you're going to be looking at more of an internal support, either through cross-training or just capabilities that you have on your own staff, depending on what your customization is. Or you'll need to contract with the services team to continue forward or provide additional updates to or additional customizations to that particular component. So there is a risk there, and you also need to be aware of piling on too many customizations that don't provide a lot of value, because that can lead to a support nightmare as you move down the road. And then, of course, with the application process, if you're upgrading, I'll use our portal as an example. If you're upgrading our portal and we've now put a new interface into the portal so that it's entirely different, well, a lot of our customizations that are based on user interface customizations are probably going to break. Now, we do build our customizations using a best practice approach, which applies them in all in the same areas, so they can be easily removed, easily updated, and we do design our updates to work around most of those customizations and to work with them. But when you're looking at interface changes, it's very difficult to maintain a very user or customer-specific customization against a overall improvement in user interface for a customer base. So things like that would, of course, conflict. So I'm going to show you a brief example of some customizations here, just to really, and we'll talk through them a little bit as to what value they provide and how we did them, and then we'll move into question and answers. So the first one I'm going to show is something really simple. So when we're looking at this Cireson homepage here, this is our Cireson Services portal. And on the portal, we've got various sections, and we can work through and we can pick our different service offerings. I'm going to choose one of these, and I've got some base service offerings here. And what I want to show today is we've had some specific requests for certain things over the years. And one of those things is the ability to show customers kind of where they sit in line, so where they sit in the queue as they're going to put in a request. So an example of that is when you are going to support a general request, we actually pull in the number of active incidents that are available in the system. So this is a customization, but it is, of course, applied within best practice for Cireson. So from a support perspective, it can be easily removed if it's causing issues, and it can be, and we know where it exists and where the changes are made should we need to upgrade this as the system itself is upgraded. But so what it does is it goes out, it pulls in the number of incidents, and it shows how many active incidents are open so that the customer who's about to submit this issue has a good idea of just how far back in line they are. So from that process, they can then choose whether or not now's a good time, whether they're going to have to wait a while, those sorts of things. So that's a very simple example of a portal customization. If we're going to look inside Service Manager itself, we have a series of Cireson products. And for those of you that haven't seen the Cireson products before, this will be a first time, but most of you probably have had some experience with looking through our website or talking through our different sales associates. Either way, one of the things we provide is asset management. Well, within Service Manager, for us, asset management is started out as a customization and became a full-on product. So Service Manager itself considers it a customization, but we actually consider it a product, and we support it as such. But the point is that asset management is a customization to Service Manager. So the capabilities that we've tackled and we've put in place there, they're all customizations, they're coded and everything, but it's something that you can do too through customization. And obviously you don't want to put the work in asset management because we have thousands of customers and many man hours that have gone into refining our asset management process, but you can do the same sort of professional looking customization inside your Service Manager environment. Say if you wanted to tackle something around mobile devices specifically, or maybe you want to tackle something around very specific business processes or business services. Some of that stuff is built in a very rudimentary way right out of the box for Service Manager, but what you can do is you can apply customization to that, and you can add value to it in terms of extending the fields, tracking different data, reporting on that data. All that stuff is possible through customization. I'm going to show you a final customization here now that we've done and has again become a product for Cireson, but it started out as a complete customization, done not for any specific customer, but done because we had some requests for it and we wanted to show that it was possible, more of a proof of concept. So I'm going to show you real briefly here is our Cireson survey application, which should go into beta testing or customer testing here in the next week. And basically it provides functionality for surveys within Service Manager. So the idea here is you can build templates and you can send surveys out to your users, and they can submit those surveys, and we can write reports and demonstrate reports on those. So just as a brief example, this is all custom. So it's built in the portal using best practices. It's something that we could build any sort of application for you in the portal in this way. And it then also relies on Service Manager for the back end. So it's both a customization within Service Manager and within the portal itself. All of this using Cireson's built-in API in our portal, and then also using Service Manager's management packs, workflow engine. So all of it is based off of the technologies that you already have available to you, and then we're simply customizing those technologies to make this available. And so through this process, we can build out entire pages. This particular application has multiple sections. It's got the ability to build out templates, and these templates carry a number of questions. You can see the questions that are available in this particular template here. It also gives you some unique information, shows you a series of results. You can look at those results. It even displays to you the user that took it, and it can actually be related to a work item as well, which will show up with the work item information if it's related to a work item here. Moving back through it, another custom page is going to be the My Surveys page, which this would be available to your end users, and they're able to see the different surveys that they've completed over time. They're also able to take a survey and work through the process. It's real quick and easy, just looking at the questions that were defined in the template, filling out the information, and then submitting. Once it's submitted, that's all they need to do. It will then disappear from here. You can either assign this to them, you can send them an email link that takes them to the specific URL. So if we're looking at the URL here, we can look at this URL. We could send this URL to them when they complete a work item, or when one of their work items is closed, say an incident is closed. That way they'd be able to actually take the survey. And then once we have some surveys in place, we can actually look at the different information that's applied. So if I look here, I can see that this new survey that I just took has been processed. And if I look back underneath here, I can also edit this. I can delete it. I can see the number of responses, and I can even see a report based off of the information. So when I click on report, we can see the number of results that were in the last processed report. We can see the type of report, the type of question that we're reporting on here. We can see the available options, the question that was been asked, and then we can, of course, go and view the template from there. So all of that is a customization. Started as a customization, built completely from scratch, but we're utilizing a lot of the frameworks that are in place in terms of Service Manager and the Cireson portal to allow this capability within Service Manager. It uses Service Manager authentication. It's authenticated through role-based management within Service Manager. It uses the Cireson API in order to pull the data and to process the data and input new data. And all of that is capable because you have these systems, and then we provide this customization that sits on top. If you ever wanted to remove it, since it's all built within best practices, you could remove it within 5 minutes. The total installation takes 10 minutes. So really, that's the way we want this to work. That's what customization looks like to us, and that's what we want to show you that we can do for you. So with all that in mind, we'll go ahead and move on to any questions that you guys may have today. And so feel free to ask any questions. I'll wait here for the next 5 minutes or so, and we'll take any questions you guys have, and then we'll head off from there. And we, of course, have time, so if there's additional questions, we'll continue forward. So Catherine says she's hoping for some information on the Remote Manage app. What sort of information are you looking for? So the Remote Manage application is built by us it's not really integrated into us at this point. So basically, Remote Manage is a standalone application that we've built, and it ties directly into SCCM. So it ties into Configuration Manager directly, and through the process of using WinRM and WMI, it helps you to manage your machines remotely by accessing the machine directly and calling upon SCCM data at the same time. So it provides you the capability of seeing all of everything that's available within SCCM really, but for a specific client, and then allows you to use WinRM and WMI and remote desktop to access the client, make changes to the client, update data. So it's very specific to the client. There's no real integration at this point into Cireson specifically. It's more very focused on SCCM. If you're unable to get it to work, you can reach out to our support team. You can go to support.cireson.com and you could submit an incident there and define what issues you're having specifically with it. And through that process, you should be able to get some feedback or some information for you. Candace asked a question around looking at implementing full security scaling in the analyst portal, ability to assign people to incident resolver and have them function as such in the portal. We have it separated by analyst already, and that applies most of what an incident resolver would be applied. I think you're probably asking more if we're going to separate between service request and incident specifically. Not at this time, but that's a product roadmap question, and that will be addressed in a separate webinar. You can also submit a feature request on our website in order to have that actually tracked and then integrated into our timeline at some point. Steve asks, is there any plans of offering training classes with more in-depth knowledge on how to customize and set up the different Cireson apps? We do have training available. We also are working through the Cireson Academy, which we've done a couple presentations up to this point on how to do different customizations, how to use some different apps. We're going to have more of this coming out, so you're going to have more resources to call upon in terms of customizing, configuring a deeper level of understanding for each of the Cireson applications. We also have our knowledge base on our support.cireson.com website that you can go to and get some additional information as well. So Catherine asks about the difference between incident and service request. It's really based on ITIL, but yes, service request is going to be something around, not really, I mean, you define a security issue, not really a security issue as much as a security request. A request to have some, basically, a service request is really going to be a predefined change process. I mean, it's basically, this is something that you can request, and there's a very defined process in order for it to be implemented for you, and usually that would flow into the service request process. So, for instance, asking for access to a security group or to a distribution list or to have a computer delivered to you, things like that are going to fall into service request. An incident is going to be something that's more immediate, something that blocks work, something that doesn't let you get something done out of the ordinary. Those things are going to fall into incidents. So something that needs to be resolved in order for you to continue to work regularly, I think would be a good example. In general, a help ticket is going to fall into the incident category. Incident is not usually a security issue. Incident could be a security issue if it's outside the norm. Eric asks, when will the survey piece release? So within the next week, really, we should be moving into customer testing for a select group of customers. And so within the next month, we're hoping to release the first version of the survey app. Nicholas asks if there are any plans to have documentation for analysts on how to use the portal, specifically around incident service requests and change requests. Some of that's already out there. We do have some webinars and such that talk through the portal process and work through it. So a lot of that is already in place. It just depends on what you're looking for. And the documentation will continue to improve as we go forward. We have some very defined documentation processes now. In our coming releases, you're going to see some of that documentation come out. But it's very open-ended, so it's difficult for us to tell you how to use it in a specific way, so it'll be very generic in terms of how you create an incident, how you can work with an incident, that sort of thing. Catherine, a lot of what you're asking about is going to be, I mean, it's very specific. I think this is stuff that we can definitely help you with. It's not something that I can necessarily answer today because I think it requires a bit more of an in-depth discussion. If you want to reach out to me directly, I'll bring my email back up on the screen here. But you could reach out to me directly for specific questions. At the very least, I can get you to the right people in order to talk through this and kind of get a better idea of how we can help you out and maybe provide some training or maybe provide some implementation or support process. We do on the services team provide support as well. So we will work with a customer in order to come in and remediate the environment or help to train in terms of what your processes should look like, how you should use incident versus service request versus change and problem and release. So we can definitely help with all of that. It's just a discussion of what you really need and what your issues are today so we can help figure out how we can best help you with it. All right, so I think that's about all the questions we have. Let me look through here real quick and see if we got them all or if I missed some. I think we got them all. So if you guys have any other questions or anything like that, feel free to reach out to me directly, and I will answer those questions for you or get you to the right person to do so. In the meantime, I hope you gained some knowledge from what we have to offer today in today's webinar, and you can look forward to more webinars in the future that are going to be more specific to what we offer in terms of customization. We'll do some customizations in future webinars. We'll talk through how to provide certain configurations, and we'll really focus on very specific scenarios, though, in future webinars. This was more an introduction to get you started to understand what we do, how to get a hold of us, and what we can do for you. So thank you all for attending today, and hopefully we'll hear from you soon.